For a large portion of the Naruto series, one of the biggest threats in the Naruto story was Orochimaru potentially taking over Sasuke's body. As we all know, this didn't actually happen. However, just how different would this story of Naruto be if Orochimaru had decided to flat out kidnap Sasuke during the Chunin exams instead of allowing Sasuke to come to him of his own free will? How different would the Naruto story be? Would things end it for better or would things end it for worse? Well, in today's edition of Naruto What If, we're gonna look at just that scenario. But before we get into that, I just want to go ahead and tease the next what if, which is what if Naruto learned the Flying Thunder God. And if you guys can get this video to 3,000 likes, I'll have that video up in less than a week. So in order for this to happen, we must first establish a trigger point, and I can think of no better trigger point than the moment where Kakashi was sealing Sasuke's curse mark during the preliminaries of the Chunin exams. The third Hokage, as well as every other important Jonin, was in attendance for these preliminaries. This makes it a lot easier for Orochimaru since he doesn't have to worry about literally facing off against the third Hokage as well as several of Konoha's elite Jonin ninja. This makes more sense than doing so in the Forest of Death. However, we have to remember that at this point, Orochimaru only suspected that Sasuke would be able to survive his curse mark. He didn't know for sure. In my opinion, Orochimaru's only logical choice at this point would have been the moment that Kakashi was sealing away Sasuke's curse mark. There would have been enough shown to Orochimaru in this moment for him to decide to use Sasuke as his new body. Sasuke showed great promise, just as Itachi did years earlier. However, unlike Itachi, Sasuke wasn't so powerful that Orochimaru wouldn't be able to justify attempting to take his body. Sasuke would be just strong enough to prove that he's worthy, but just weak enough that Orochimaru could force him to submit if need be. Going with this scenario, Orochimaru would still appear out of the shadows when Kakashi placed the sealing formula on Sasuke. Kakashi would still have his Raikiri ready in that moment, swearing to protect Sasuke with his life. Orochimaru will lick his lips as Kakashi stood in front of him, every bit willing to risk it all to protect his student from Orochimaru. And Orochimaru's eyes will light up in excitement at the prospect of taking Sasuke, and it will be here that the following scene would occur.
Right, shall we begin? Your evil plot stops here.
You want to kill me? Go ahead and try.
Sure, why not?
So, should we get started?
It's my turn now.
You're not even worth toying with.
Let's see how strong you've got. Give it up. What lies in your future is defeat. Lightning Blade!
Not bad. Do yourself a favor and just give in.
It would be at this moment that Orochimaru would take off with both an unconscious Sasuke and the dead body of Kakashi. Leaving the dead body of such a prominent Jonin like Kakashi would cause much more trouble than it's worth. Instead, I believe that Orochimaru would inform Kabuto of what happened. Orochimaru would then instruct Kabuto to transform himself into Kakashi to maintain appearances, just as Orochimaru did when he transformed himself into the fourth Kazekage. The two of them would continue with their roles in the Konoha Crush arc, much in the same. However, the major change that would occur would be when Sasuke and Kakashi didn't show up from the Chunin exams. We have to remember that in chapter 99, the third Hokage was fully prepared to go forward with the Chunin exams without Sasuke in attendance, and he had accepted the fact that Sasuke might be in the hands of Orochimaru. The Anbu Black Ops were looking for both Kakashi and Sasuke at the same time. Genma even went so far as to state in the manga that if Sasuke didn't show up, he would be disqualified, which even Hiruzen Sarutobi was prepared to do in Naruto Naruto chapter 106, stating that he needed to disqualify Sasuke. I believe that in this moment, Hiruzen would have made the right decision to have the Anbu increase the urgency in finding Kakashi and Sasuke. While this would enrage the crowd, seeing as most of the wealthy nobles and lords had traveled to see Sasuke up close in person because Sasuke was the last living Uchiha, Sarutobi would have no choice, and this is the logical one since he was already going to do this before Kakashi and Sasuke showed up. The Chunin exams will continue as usual. However, the forfeit of Sasuke is where a major change occurs. Naruto will fight against Gaara in the next round, which has a major potential to be a huge battle. In my opinion, Naruto would quickly get over his fear and Gaara would slowly ramp up his bloodlust as he toyed with Naruto, but as Naruto began to fight back, using his unusual unorthodox manner of fighting, Gaara would quickly get annoyed at how pesky and most importantly, how resilient Naruto is. It would be during this fight that Kabuto would cast his genjutsu as the appropriate signal, if only for keeping up appearances with the Sand Village, and you have to keep in mind that Orochimaru's secondary goal was to destroy Konoha, so I do believe the plan was to be intact. However, without Gaara being injured, the Sand sibling could still go through with their original role in the plan, which was to have Gaara transform into the One Tails inside the village. Tamari and Kankuro would show up to remind Gaara of their plan. Gaara would quickly form a giant sand hand and backsmack Naruto across the arena. Meanwhile, as the Sand siblings left to get in position, the third Hokage will be trapped in a barrier with Orochimaru. However, this is where another major change occurs. After revealing his true face to Hiruzen, Orochimaru would keep his eyes closed as he told his former teacher that he'd already captured Sasuke and had him hidden away in his hideout. When Hiruzen asked about Kakashi's fate, Orochimaru will open his eyes to reveal that one of them had Kakashi's Sharingan. Orochimaru with the Sharingan Eye versus the third Hokage is a game changer, since the Eye of Insight would allow him to read Hiruzen's movements in real time, predict the future movements, and counter his ninjutsu before he even finished weaving the hand signs. Meanwhile, Naruto would be sent to chase after Gaara. Going absolutely unnoticed, Shino would likely follow after him, which makes for a very interesting battle. Now, if for some reason Orochimaru was pressured into reviving the first and second Hokage, and given the fact that the version of Edo Tensei that Orochimaru is using is a lot weaker than the one we saw in the War Arc, Hashirama Senju nor Tobirama could even attempt to break out of the jutsu. Now, taking things a step further, this trio would absolutely overwhelm Hiruzen and Sarutobi. This would mean that eventually the third Hokage would be killed in action, and something would stir inside of Orochimaru as he sliced off the head of his former teacher. The Sound Four would drop their barrier at this point, leaving them free to participate in the destruction of Konoha. Due to Orochimaru already being able to force the two dead Hokage to act against their will, I believe that Orochimaru will take great joy out of having the two former Hokages rampage as they destroyed the very same village that they swore to protect. Meanwhile, as Shino fought against Kankuro and Naruto fought against Tamari, Gaara would still be in the process of allowing the One Tails to take over. By the time that Konoha does begin its counter assault, Naruto would manage to defeat Tamari, but arrive in just a few moments too late to stop Gaara from fully transforming. Naruto would dig deep down inside of himself to summon Gamabunta, knowing that he stands no chance against a fully transformed Gaara fighting by himself. Just as Gamabunta and the One Tails began their battle in the middle of Konoha, Jiraiya would arrive on the other side of the village to take down the snake summoning of Orochimaru. However, as he made his way to the arena, Jiraiya would likely run across members of the Sound Four or run against one of the two dead Hokage. Orochimaru and Kabuto would take in the moment to bask in the destruction of Konoha, but as Orochimaru saw Naruto begin to overwhelm Gaara and he felt the two dead Hokages being sealed away, breaking his Edo Tensei, Orochimaru would know that he needed to cut bait in order to retreat. This is where a major change occurred. Originally, Orochimaru wanted Sasuke to come to him of his own free will. However, it should be noted that this is not a requirement of the jutsu. This is where another major change occurs. The arrival of Itachi and Kisame. The moment that they arrived in Konoha, Itachi would know right away that it was Sasuke who had been taken by Orochimaru. And this is where a major problem arises. Itachi's threat to Danzo would need to be followed up on if Itachi was to hold true to his words when he left Konoha. and Itachi would torture Danzo for specifics on Orochimaru taking Sasuke and where he might be hiding before using the genjutsu to outright kill him, and Itachi would take Shisui's eye to prevent it from falling in the wrong hands. With Danzo dead and Sasuke's future uncertain, I don't believe that Itachi would leak the secrets of Konoha, since there was no clear indication yet that Sasuke had gotten his body taken over by Orochimaru, though it was extremely likely that wasn't something that could be confirmed yet. While all of this occurred, Jiraiya would still take Naruto to search for Tsunade, which we do know is at least 3 weeks given Jiraiya's words in chapter 152. Orochimaru would attempt to corrupt Sasuke using Kakashi's Sharingan and his drugs, but Sasuke's will wouldn't shatter completely at this moment. However, if we still believe that Orochimaru takes a new body, even if it's a few weeks later or a few months later in the timeline, Orochimaru would eventually still take Sasuke's body. However, I do believe that in the midst of all the torture trying to get Sasuke to come to him of his own free will, I believe that Orochimaru either shows Sasuke Kakashi's dead body or show him Kakashi's death via genjutsu to trigger Sasuke's Mangekyo. Meanwhile, I do believe that Tsunade would be convinced to return as Hokage, and the story would progress much the same. From here, there's going to be another major change. However, it's going to be one that I feel is going to be significant. Jiraiya would still make Naruto a student, but this is where that major change I was talking about occurs. In chapter 237, somehow, even though we'll never know how, we'll never know who, Jiraiya learned that Orochimaru had already taken another body, and they learned it from one of his spies. But he did tell Naruto in that same chapter he didn't know the information that there being 3 years before Orochimaru needed to take Sasuke's body was 100% correct, but he trusted his sources. I have no reason to believe that in this part of the timeline that Jiraiya wouldn't be plugged in enough to know that Sasuke's body had been taken over. However, Naruto, being the knuckleheaded ninja that he is, would refuse that Sasuke was gone, vowing to find a way to bring Sasuke back. While this would likely earn him a huge tongue lashing from Jiraiya, I do believe that Naruto's attitude to never give up would be enough for Jiraiya to not go through this threat, to have Naruto placed under the watch of the Anbu Black Ops and being forbidden to ever leave Konoha. This means that Naruto and Sakura train with the new teachers with an even greater sense of urgency, hoping to find a way to have Sasuke saved despite Sasuke having his body taken over. From here, the story progresses much the same, with the major difference being that the Jonin likely assigned to Team 7 is likely Yamato, given the fact that in the time skip that Jiraiya would inform Tsunade about Naruto's problems controlling the Kyuubi chakra. Now this is where a major change would occur during the Tenchi Bridge arc. Seeing Orochimaru put on the face of Sasuke would immediately trigger Naruto to go into his four-tailed state, potentially even going up to the five-tails. A battle between 4 or 5 tails Naruto versus Orochimaru in Sasuke's body with the Mangekyo Sharingan be one hell of a fight to see. However, with Orochimaru having had years to experiment on Sasuke's body, potentially using Hashirama cells on him and other drugs to boost his stats, I believe that Orochimaru inside of Sasuke's body would hold the upper hand and use this battle as a way to test out the true limits of his new body. Yamato would be forced to step in before Naruto could sprout the sixth tail, and in the chaos, Orochimaru would flee, feeling satisfied with testing the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan of Sasuke and seeing the effects that Hashirama cells would have using Sasuke's Mangekyo in a true battle. This means that the team returns to Konoha in failure. Now, the story will progress the same, but there's going to be another major change. Before the fight with Naruto and Kakuzu, I believe that Orochimaru will finally seek to give the small piece of Sasuke's soul that remained inside of his consciousness. I believe that he'll try and give it closure, and Orochimaru will begin to hunt down Itachi. The battle between Itachi and Orochimaru and Sasuke's body would take place a lot sooner in the timeline, which means that while Itachi would still be approaching death, there would be a significant upgrade in his power because he wouldn't be as sick. However, I believe that the ferocious battle as it raged on, Itachi would fight without any type of reservation like he did in the original timeline, where even though he was blind, he was orchestrating the entire fight to allow Sasuke to think that he actually won the fight. Though Hashirama cells and Mangekyo Sharingan would aid him, perhaps even giving him the upper hand at times, I do think that Itachi would be able to overcome Orochimaru. Some of you guys might be wondering, well, if Sasuke has Hashirama cells, why doesn't Orochimaru have the Rinnegan here? So I'll remind you guys of Madara's own words. Madara, it took Madara decades to awaken the Rinnegan after the fact. The only reason that Sasuke was able to awaken the Rinnegan after getting Hashirama cells is the Sage of Six Paths directly stepped in because Kaguya was about to be revived. Just as the battle appeared to be over, Itachi would seal Orochimaru away using his Tosca blade, knowing that the brother that he gave everything to save would no longer be able to be saved, which would then lead to Itachi spending his final moments heartbroken at the path that destiny had taken him to. It would be during this time that Itachi would destroy the eyes of Shisui in order to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. While he would know about Toby being Madara, Itachi's life would be in an end, and he would know that his only option was to trust that another ninja from Konoha had inherited his will of fire. Naruto would then go on to defeat Kakuzu. However, in the aftermath of the Orochimaru versus Itachi battle, I believe that Zetsu will retrieve the bodies of Itachi and Orochimaru. From here, the major changes that occur are that Deidara never dies, the Itachi pursuit arc never happens, and Jiraiya, through his many amazing sources, learns that Orochimaru died fighting Itachi, who passed away shortly afterwards. The news will likely send Sakura spiraling out of control, crying on the Hokage office. Jiraiya was still going to die in the battle with Pain, and the combined crushing blows of losing Sasuke for good and the death of Jiraiya to Pain would utterly cripple Naruto. However, after some time, I do believe that Naruto would learn Sage Mode and would go on to defeat Nagato. Now, another major shift I see occurring is the fact that Kisame is likely sent after Killer Bee. However, despite Kisame having overpowered jutsu, I do believe the battle with Killer Bee would stir up too much attention and runs the risk of the 4th Raikage speed blitzing to the battlefield, where both he and Killer Bee would go on to kill Kisame if he doesn't escape. The Raikage would then call a 5 Kage summit upon discovering the headband of Kisame. However, Konoha would be in a huge bind, Tsunade would be in a comatose, Kakashi would be dead, and Naruto wasn't ready to be Hokage yet despite his power. By Tsunade and Jiraiya's own words, Kakashi was the only person who was groomed to be the next Hokage, and even Kakashi wasn't quite ready yet. Shikamaru's father would be too lazy to be Hokage, choosing to stay in the role of advisor, which would be a lot easier, which means that Konoha would have to do the absolutely unthinkable. Might Guy would have to be named the temporary Hokage until Tsunade awakened. Guy's master of the 8 inner gates would be touted to the feudal lord, who would likely be impressed, especially when the tale of how his father killed several of the 7 ninja swordsmen will be told. However, while it wouldn't be a sexy pick, Guy would be the strongest Jonin in Konoha, and everyone would hope to hell that Tsunade awakened before they had to see Guy's bushy ass eyebrows on the Hokage monument. Now, Guy would attend the 5 Kage summit with Shikamaru's father and Neji as his 2 bodyguards. From here, the 4th Great Ninja War would be declared. However, by the time that Kabuto shows up, there's another major change. Kabuto show up with the bodies of all the dead Akatsuki who had died in this timeline, as well as the Edo Tensei of Sasuke Uchiha, Edo Tensei Kakashi, Edo Tensei Danzo, Edo Tensei Hiruzen Sarutobi, Edo Tensei Hashirama Senju, Edo Tensei Tobirama Senju, and Madara Uchiha as his trump card. You guys have to remember, I know somebody's like, damn, that is overkill, son. Yo, you gotta remember this right here, okay? Hiruzen Sarutobi never used the Reaper Death Seal during this timeline, so this means that the dead bodies of the first 3 Hokage could be used in this scenario. Obito would have no choice but to work with Kabuto. However, by the time that things start, a bit of good news for you Naruto fans, Naruto would train even harder to master the Kyuubi. Now you guys have to remember, right? At this point, Naruto's lost Kakashi, he's lost Sasuke, he's lost Jiraiya. Naruto has every reason to train even harder to master this new power. So I think Naruto's gonna learn how to master the Kyuubi a lot sooner than he did originally. Hashirama Senju would be too powerful to be kept under control, which means he'd break out of Edo Tensei immediately, and given the fact that Kabuto is having to control all these powerful ninja all at once, I do believe that Tobirama Senju would be able to break out of Edo Tensei as well, which means that Tobirama will be able to sense where Kabuto's location is, and by the time that Tobirama and Hashirama make it to Kabuto's location, the Senju brothers would have one hell of a fight on their hands, and it's not because of Kabuto. So essentially, Kabuto would know he stands no chance against the first Hokage or Tobirama, even if he uses Sage Mode, especially if Hashirama uses Sage Mode. This means Kabuto's gotta revive Madara. Now this leads to an insane battle between Edo Tensei Rinnegan Madara and Kabuto versus the two Senju brothers. I believe a very fierce battle would ensue. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, Naruto, due to his greater determination, would master the Kyuubi at this point and enter the war before day one of the war even ended. By the time Naruto makes it past the Raikage, Madara would do enough damage to Tobirama and Hashirama in order to allow Kabuto to seal them away. For those of you guys wondering, if Kabuto were to break the Edo Tensei contract, it would undo the jutsu for all the Edo Tensei, which means strategically, this is not in his best interest to do. I'm not sure the anime added any type of filler of him breaking a contract for an individual ninja while he's got Edo Tensei while controlling all the others, but as you guys know, 99.9% of the time, I don't include filler in these what ifs. Now, Madara Uchiha being on the battlefield a full day earlier poses a huge problem for the Shinobi Alliance, given the fact that Madara by himself can wipe out an entire division. The 5 Kage will be made aware of the fact that Madara was revived and they'd be rushed to the battlefield where he was wreaking havoc on the Shinobi Alliance. However, Naruto would battle with all of his shadow clones against Edo Tensei Madara as he made his way to the opposite end of the battlefield where Obito was gathering with his 6 dead Jinchuriki. This would lead to several emotional battles for Naruto. Naruto battling against the younger version of Sasuke who was taken from the Chunin exams. Naruto battling against Kakashi, with Kakashi using all of his 1000 jutsu against Naruto, which it should be noted that Kakashi at this point would have the Sharingan, even if Obito removed it. And I'll explain to you guys why, because I know this is going to confuse somebody who's watching this. So you gotta remember, back during the war arc, Madara and Itachi were both brought back with their eyes, despite the fact that their original eyes were in the skulls of different people. Now, another emotional battle that you guys would see would be Naruto battling against the 3rd Hokage. From here, a major change would occur. Essentially, Might Guy would be fighting against the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist by himself because nobody else in that division would be strong enough to help him, and without Kakashi's aid, he would be fighting against Zabuza and Haku, as well as the reanimated Kisame. Guy in this scenario would have no choice but to open up the 8th gate in order to take down all of these overwhelming foes. However, in the midst of his sacrifice, all of the ninja swordsmen and Haku would be sealed away. Now, I believe that at this point that this is where things take a shift for a bit of the more interesting. So if you go back to the Naruto and Killer Bee versus Obito battle, when you get to the scenes before Kakashi and Might Guy showed up, Naruto was about to be captured. So in this scenario, there's no Kakashi to save Naruto, and there's no Might Guy to save Naruto either. Nobody is coming for him. You gotta remember that Kakashi and Guy, after the 7 Ninja Swordsmen were sealed away, they immediately ran from the battlefield, but Kakashi and Guy are a lot faster than somebody like Rock Lee. In this scenario, Naruto has nobody there to help him. So as you guys can see, right? So Kakashi dying, in particular before the war arc, changes a lot. It doesn't matter what the scenario is, because if Kakashi dies and it's outside of the pain arc and it's before the war, there's nobody there to save Naruto unless Might Guy's alive. Kakashi being dead also means there's nobody there to exploit the weakness of Kamui, where you have the shared dimension between Kakashi and Obito. So I'm really interested to know what you guys think about this scenario. I've kind of held off on doing this one because I honestly try to think of any way for Naruto to be alive. And I even got one version of this where Hinata tries to show up to counter that Ten Tails Biju bomb, and we know how that turns out for Hinata because she's at the very front of the line. I couldn't think of any scenario that wouldn't be an absolute ass pull where Naruto's able to fight off Obito and Madara. I couldn't think of anything on that. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But as a reminder, if this video can hit 3,000 likes, I'll have What If Naruto Learned the Flying Thunder God on the channel exactly 1 week from today. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching only to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.